low emotional literacy or low emotional IQ. If our kids don't get a whole lot of talking time with us, then they don't have the opportunity to actually grow. My 11-year-old, been a little distant lately. I didn't really understand why. So I just asked him, I'm like, hey man, are you doing okay? And it came out. He was having some issues with some friends at school. Nothing major, I would say, but he needed to talk through it. He asked for some guidance. He didn't really understand what was happening, and he wanted someone to talk to. And I would not have known that had I not asked. But those are the kind of conversations that I think keep our kids out of trouble, that keep our kids. All right, gents, we're back at it again on Friday. Welcome back. We're talking about the Netflix series Adolescence, which has been a ridiculously popular Netflix series. Their third largest, most watched series to date, trailing just behind Wednesday, which I thought was kind of odd, and also season 4 of Stranger Things, which that one made kind of sense because I am a huge fan of Stranger Things. If you haven't seen the Netflix series Adolescence, I did a show on this last Friday. I'm going to be doing shows on it every single Friday in the month of May. And there are going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want spoilers, I would pause it right now and come back to it at a later date, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of things, a lot of detail in this particular series that I think will be very, very useful for us. So welcome to the Dad Edge podcast, gentlemen. I'm Larry Hagner, your host and founder of this podcast, this show and movement. And I'll tell you, I watched the Netflix series Adolescence about a month and a half ago, and I'll tell you, it didn't sit well with me. And like I said last week, the episode that actually that really disturbed me the most was the last one, and I'm going to get to that in the last week of May here. But I'm going to focus on a couple things here on this Friday that I think would really, really resonate with you guys. So just to give you an overview of what Adolescence is all about. So typical family in the UK, it's a family of 4, older sister, a younger brother who's 13. His name is Jamie Miller, raised by a dad named Eddie Miller, who is a business owner in the plumbing industry, also has a mom. Pretty functional family, I would say pretty typical and pretty average. Nothing really looming or disturbing when you see them from the surface and how they operate. But if you really peel back the onion layers, you see a lot of things that aren't right. And I will also tell you a lot of things that we actually kind of identify as somewhat normal these days. And I really got to applaud the producers and the people that created this docuseries, because it's a mirror to our face as parents of like, oh shit, like maybe good is not good enough. Maybe safe is what I think is safe isn't safe at all. I really need to understand this. So last week we talked all about, asking, acknowledging, and then taking action, right? And having deeper conversations with our kids so we understand what it is that they're going through and how like a physical presence isn't enough. We need that emotional connection as well. But in this series today, in this show, I'm talking about why the busyness will cost a disconnected dad everything. Why the busyness will cost a disconnected dad everything. Now, I really want to applaud Jamie's dad, Eddie, in this series, because the guy works his freaking tail off. And I'll tell you, if you get to the last episode, you really understand that Jamie's dad came from a really, really horrific upbringing himself. He came from a dad that was not nice to him, that beat him up quite a bit. And Jamie's dad, Eddie, this guy was bound and determined and motivated to create a different experience for his son. He wanted an experience that didn't involve abuse, that didn't involve coming down on him. But in my opinion, Jamie's dad, Eddie, he took it a little bit too far in the other direction where he wasn't involved enough, right? So let's talk about this a little bit. There's a few things that we see in the show Adolescence. And just to recap again, Adolescence is all about a 13-year-old boy who horrifically kills another student, and it's caught on video. He's arrested, and basically it's the impact of his family on the victim's family, on the school, on the community, and everything else, just because of obviously this one horrible, horrible, horrific thing that happened. But there are symptoms and there are breadcrumbs that we see. So for instance, one of the things that we see, one of the symptoms that we see is Jamie alone in his bedroom a lot, okay? Nobody knocks on the door. Nobody checks in on him. And in fact, if you really if you hear the parents and what they talk about after they're really trying to analyze the situation after it's already been well over a year, they think well, he was in his room. He was a good kid. He wasn't really going out. He wasn't causing problems. He didn't have bad grades. He was in his room. He was safe. He was safe in his room, right? Not so fast. Kids are not safe in their rooms, especially if they have a device. When I grew up and when you grew up, bullying started and it stopped when you're around the bullies physically. Well, now in this day and age with devices, a bully doesn't even have to be in the same room with you, and they can mess with you. Social media, text messaging, Snapchat, DMs, doesn't matter. And in this series, there was something that was brought to light that I didn't really know about. And that is how our youngsters, how our young kids actually speak in kind of somewhat code on social media, like what colors of emojis mean certain things, what symbols mean certain things. I had no idea. And this poor kid's getting bombarded and bullied by people online no one knows because he's quote unquote safe in his room. Now, what could Eddie have done different, the dad? Could have knocked on the door. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Hey, man, tell me about your day. Man, I had a tough day at work. How was your day? Right? Just checking in, right? But the dad mistook isolation as independence. He took isolation and he took in his room as he's safe. He's not outside. He's safe. Nobody else around. Nobody could possibly be picking on this kid. He's safe, right? What could he have done? He could have had more regular check-ins, maybe a cadence. Maybe if he took him to school, right, he could have a conversation with him on the way to school. Some of the best conversations are on the way to school. Some of the best conversations are after you pick your kid up from school on the way home, right? We can also check in at bedtime. It's one of my most favorite times. It really, really is, because I don't know what it is about bedtime. Maybe it's because our kids like to procrastinate, so they're going to talk to us more. But that talking to us more is a gift. Sometimes it's annoying, right? Because we want to get to bed, or we want them to get to bed, but sometimes it's a gift. Sometimes some of the biggest clues and breadcrumbs come out of that conversation when you're sitting there at bedside. Can I share a story with you guys here real quick? My 11-year-old, been a little distant lately, been a little off lately. I didn't really understand why. And I sat on his bed. This was just last night. This is like literally fresh off of like 24 hours ago. Maybe it's because I'm doing this series this month. But I got really, really curious because I felt like I was sensing some different energy in him. So I just asked him, I'm like, hey, man, I'm just kind of picking up on just some cues and just a vibe. And I could be going crazy, but maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But I'm going to ask you about it. And I'm just like, are you doing okay? I just get the feeling that you might be carrying some heavy stress or some things that are going on that you might want to talk about. And it came out. He was having some issues with some friends at school. And nothing major, I would say, but he needed to talk through it. He asked for some guidance. He didn't really understand what was happening, and he wanted someone to talk to. And I would not have known that had I not asked. But those are the kind of conversations that I think keep our kids out of trouble. They keep our kids safe because they know that they have someone that they can come talk to. So this is actually happening in my world, like real world. The other thing that Jamie's dad could have done too is just invite him to do different things. Like anytime, one of the coolest things I think we can do is like, hey, I'm going to go for a walk. You want to go with me? Hey, do you want to go for a bike ride? Hey, I'm going to go up to Sonic and grab a soda. You want to come? Right? I'm going to go walk the dog. You want to come with me? Right? Hey, you want to go outside and throw the frisbee? Do you want to go outside and throw the football? Right? Hey, I'm going to run this errand. Do you want to come with me? Anything that we can do to bring our kids into our world or vice versa, and that's really, really cool, right? And then the third thing is being curious. So when we have that time, a lot of us, I know early on, I didn't know what to do with it. Be like, okay, we're going to go run this errand together. Like, what are we going to talk about? And this is where we can just simply ask questions like, hey man, like what's new in your world? Tell me how are your friends doing? Like, how's everybody doing? How's everybody treating each other? How's everybody treating you? Right? Just really getting into their world, right? And making sure that they're not in their rooms 24/7. That's a big red flag. I know a lot of us like to deem that as normal. I think it's normal to some degree, but our kids need to be checked in on, right? Just a little check-in. We'll check in here and there is never a bad thing. There's another situation here. I don't remember what episode it was, but if you watch the series, you know that there's a dinner table scene. And I call it dinner table distance because there are only surface level questions and conversations that are happening with no intention of emotional connection. So like, for instance, there's this situation where Eddie asks his son, he's like, how's school? Can you pass salt? And then there's really no conversation beyond that, right? So he never really asks like a whole lot of questions of his son. He asks, how was school, right? Which these are like more, I think, performance-based, more scoreboard questions to see like, okay, if your grades are okay, then you're probably okay. Right? That's not always the case. What would it be like if dad actually led with a little bit of vulnerability, right? I think a lot of our kids look at us like we're rock stars, like we're freaking superstars. Like we never have a bad day. Like we always maybe even dominate to some degree. And that's a joke, right? If our kids even knew like the shit show that our day is sometimes, they'd probably laugh at us. So what would it have looked like if Eddie would have led with some vulnerability? I know with conversations I've had with my boys, some of the most fruitful conversations come from like, man, I had a really tough day today. And sometimes, man, tough days come at work and it's really, really tough. Tell me about some tough days you've had at school. Once our kids know, like, oh, wait a second, dad has tough days too. Like, wait a second, you have tough days? Well, now all of a sudden we're relatable, right? They can relate to us. It's not like, oh, you're just dad and you have great days every day. Oh, wait, no, you're a person that has bad days like me. Let me talk to you. So we can lead with vulnerability. Another thing we can do also is use the dinner table as a rhythm to have deeper conversations, not just like how your grades pass the SALT. We can do something like the highs and lows or the roses and thorns or that kind of thing, where we get to have really good in-depth conversations at the dinner table that really move the needle in our relationships, right? One other thing that we see in this series is the missed opportunities for bonding. So like in this series, we see that the dad, Eddie, often chooses moments of work over time with his son. So he's on his phone. He's missed his games. He is mentally elsewhere, even when he's at home, because he's constantly thinking about the next thing he has to go do, right? So he misses opportunities for bonding because his mind is in other places. This also shows that his dad, Eddie, his mind is wrapped up in more like an identity around performance and not necessarily around presence. Like it's all about grades, or it's all about business, or it's all about revenue. It's all about whatever. It's not necessarily about the depth of our relationship. And what could he have done differently? Well, he could have created more predictable, non-negotiable time with his son, a cadence around conversation with dinner, or maybe it was bedtime, or maybe it was just playing with him for 30 minutes a day. Like, hey man, you want to go out and throw the football and go have a conversation? Something like that, right? We can do these things. So there are psychological impacts though, when it comes to our kids, when it comes to them not connecting with us. And for the most part, I think some of us are aware of the impact of that disconnection, but I'm going to lay it out for you because I had to do some research on it. So one is low emotional literacy or low emotional IQ. If our kids don't get a whole lot of talking time with us, well, then they don't have the opportunity to actually grow their emotional IQ. Those are the people we tend to see stuff things down or isolate or whatever. Another big one, and I know you guys you don't want any part of this one. I know I don't. Is that if we don't influence our kids, everyone else will. So if we're not connecting to our kids, everyone else has influence except for us. So this is why I think in this series, everybody else had influence over Jamie except for the most important guy in that guy's life, and that's his dad, because his dad never took the time to create that influence and that connection with him. So everybody else had an influence in Jamie's decisions except for the man who was supposed to. So he could have done that. For the parents, now let's talk about the impact for this, for the parent. It is regret and it is grief. And you see that in the final episode of episode 4, like the horrific regret that Eddie, the dad, holds onto. The regret and the remorse that he could have done something different, that suddenly he sees the whole situation insanely clear and for what it is. And it comes down to this. With his dad's help and with his dad's guidance and with his dad's connection, the whole thing could have been prevented. I truly believe that. I know in the series, they really try to hit that point home because they really try to emulate Eddie carrying that regret of like, holy crap, I could have done things differently. I could have connected with my son differently. I thought good was good enough, but it wasn't. It wasn't. That man will never be the same for the rest of his life. And that is the feeling that I could not sleep at night after I saw that last episode. The heaviness and the remorse and the regret that Eddie felt knowing that he left this stuff on the table. Holy crap. Holy crap. How do you get through that? How do you get over that? I don't know. I don't know how. Right? The other thing that Eddie did too was he relied his false pride on a scoreboard of grades, how his business was doing, all these surface level things that he was measuring, like our people are okay in our family. Well, Jamie's got good grades. He's okay. He's not doing anything wrong. My business is going good. We're doing okay. So everybody's good. Nope. It is not. And the final thing is this: the distance that turns into resentment over time. You know who gets really tired of us not connecting? Is our kids. And they'll stop trying connecting with us. They'll give up. Over time, they'll realize that we're too busy, that we're not interested. They'll go elsewhere. They'll go hang out with friends. This is where we start to see kids get into really involved with really bad stuff. Too much time with friends, drugs, alcohol, horrific things like what we saw in this docuseries. But it's not about going big on the vacations. It's not about, I would say, going through the motions even of like, let me just have this conversation real quick so make sure we're all good. No. Fatherhood is getting your hands dirty. Fatherhood is in the trenches. Fatherhood is not just the scoreboard of grades and business and bills paid and we're providing and all these different things. It's all those things underneath, all these conversations that we have underneath. That's what it's all about. What I can tell you, gentlemen, this series really rattled me quite a bit, as you've heard me talk about last week. And we've got one of the most tremendous partners, I think, when it comes to keeping our kids safe. And that's Bark. You've heard me talk so many times about Bark and how much I believe in Bark's mission. Bark is an app that keeps our kids safe online. It's an app that I've been using for the past 6 years. I put it on my kids' phones so I know what conversations are happening on text messaging, on social media. What Bark does is it basically detects keywords, alcohol-related issues, medically concerning content, adult internet searches, predatory behavior online, cyberbullying, which was a big one, and the whole thing that lit the stick of dynamite in this series. All these different things. And I can't even tell you over the past 6 years how many fruitful conversations I've had to have with my kids because of Bark. Because I see something on Bark, I get a Bark alert. And I'm like, oh, would you look at that? So-and-so said this, or so-and-so said that, or look at that search, or look at this, or look at that. And then I get to go have a really good conversation, not one that's detrimental, not one that's going to hurt the relationship, a good one. Been doing this for 6 years. I got to tell you, Bark just came out with something that I'm really excited about that I've been using now for the past 6 weeks. I want to use it for a while just to make sure that I was giving you guys the most up-to-date stuff. They just came out with a watch. It's called the Bark Watch. My 2 little guys have it. My 9-year-old, my 11-year-old have it. It's great. It's a dumb watch. So it basically does text messaging. It does, you can call your kid through it, and it has locations. So you know where your kid's at all times. The other thing that's amazing about it too is it will send you alerts. So if they're doing anything that they shouldn't be doing through text messaging or through phone calls, it will send you an alert. So it's really, really cool. I love it. Head on over to thedadedge.com/bark for all the information. Guys, this service is ridiculously reasonable. The Bark watch is $130. It looks just like an Apple Watch, and the service is $15 a month. I don't know why they're not charging more for this. I would pay more for this because I love it so much. I've been using it forever. And plus, like I said, if you've seen the movie, if you've seen this docuseries, we need to keep our kids safe, period. I'm very passionate about this, as you guys well know. Like I said, head on over to thedadedge.com/bark for all the information. But guys, if you haven't seen the Netflix series Adolescence, go check it out. It will rattle you. It probably won't sit well with you, but it will motivate you to connect with your kids like nobody's business. Gentlemen, from my heart to yours, go out. Live legendary. Love you guys.